a betrayal, a broken heart, and a betrayal that cost the greatest of the bunch his head. In a recent interview, El Mayo Zambada's wife revealed the truth behind the betrayal of the El Chapitos, as well as some secrets that no one imagined. Stay until the end of the video and find out. Before starting, leave your registration with the like button and subscribe to our stories. They'll surely catch you. Now, activate the bell so we can begin. The dim light in the room illuminated the tired face of Ismael El Mayo Zambada's wife. Her voice, broken by pain and betrayal, revealed a story that few knew, one that hid a dark truth behind the apparent loyalty and blood ties of the Sinaloa cartel. That afternoon, in a clandestine interview, El Mayo's wife decided to break the silence and share how the excessive greed and ambition of the Chapitos, sons of Jockey El Chapo Guzman, led to the greatest betrayal they could ever imagine. It all began with the arrest of El Chapo. He began by saying, his gaze lost in painful memories, with El Chapo out of the game. The Chapitos felt it was their moment to shine, to take the reins of the cartel, but what they didn't understand was that the leadership of a cartel isn't inherited, it's earned. At that moment, my husband, El Mayo, was the true leader. He had the respect of the elders, the young, the international allies, the Chapitos. However, they were blinded by the desire for power, and that ambition led them to make a fatal mistake. The woman recalled how the first clashes between El Mayo and the Chapitos began to be felt at cartel meetings. Ismael tried to keep the peace, to guide them, to teach them that the path of the drug trafficking is more than just violence and ostentation. But they didn't listen, he said. They wanted total control. They wanted the routes, they wanted the money, and above all, they wanted the respect they never earned. As the tension grew, distrust settled in among the cartel's ranks. The Chapitos began to surround themselves with young hitmen, men without the code of honor that Mayo had always upheld. It was then that the real conflict began. Ismael had always preferred a firm but fair hand. However, the Chapitos had no limits. They began to act behind my husband's back, making deals with our enemies, cutting the ties Ismael had forged for decades. The betrayal reached its climax when the Chapitos decided to take a step that no one expected, to contact the American authorities. That was the dagger in the heart, she said, her voice breaking. They thought that by handing over my husband, ensuring his arrest, they could consolidate their power. Without having anyone to guide or watch over them, they contacted the DEA. They made a deal with them, information for immunity, routes to freedom, and they offered a hand over El Mayo on a silver platter. El Mayo's wife's eyes filled with tears as she continued her story. I'll never forget the day Ismael's trusted men came to tell me he had been captured. We knew only someone on the inside could have provided such precise information about his movements. For days, we searched for answers. And finally, one of the Chapitos' men, one who couldn't bear the burden of betrayal, confessed everything to us. The revelation of this betrayal shook El Mayo's family to its foundations. The man said that the Chapitos had decided to hand over Ismael to save their own necks, to get rid of any competition within the cartel. They had a pact was made with the DEA to ensure that he couldn't return to Mexico, that he couldn't retake control of the cartel, she continued bitterly. At that moment, El Mayo's wife remained silent, staring into space as if the words weighed too much on her. I never thought the family would betray the family, she whispered. Finally, my husband trusted them like his own children. He took care of them. He protected them when they were children, and that's how they repaid him with a stab in the back. As the reality of the betrayal became clearer, El Mayo's wife began to fear not only for her husband, but also for her family. We knew the Chapitos wouldn't stop there, she continued. We knew that they were afraid that someone else could take control in Ismael's absence. They began to purge anyone who had my husband. It was a massacre, a complete cleansing of anyone who might remind them. The true way the cartel used to operate. The pain of betrayal still weighed heavily on his voice as he concluded his story. Ismael always believed that the cartel should stay united, that the family should be loyal. But the Chapitos showed there were no limits to their greed, and now. Even with Ismail out of the game, they live in constant fear that someone else might betray them, just like they did to my family, that I put the powerful revelations of Mayo Zambada #1. Mayo Zambada and his protection network in the Mexican government. One of the most shocking revelations about Mayo Zambada is his deep infiltration of power structures in Mexico for many years. Various levels of the government were suspected of being corrupted, but statements from protected witnesses and cartel members have shed light on the extent of this corruption. Zambada has been said to have maintained a bribery network that spans from local police officers to high-ranking officials in the federal government. This protection network has allowed him to operate with relative impunity, moving tons of drugs around the country and coordinating shipments to the United States and other countries with little or no harassment. Key testimony in El Chapo's 2019 trial revealed that Mayo Zambada not only suborned low-level officials, but also members of the military, and in fact, some reports indicate that Zambada may have influenced the appointment of senior officials in certain strategic areas to ensure that his operations were not interfered with. This revelation confirms what many suspected, that El Mayo was not only a powerful drug trafficker, but also a master of political manipulation, capable of operating in the deepest secrecy thanks to his ability to infiltrate and corrupt the second-ranking authorities. His role as the invisible drug trafficker has been described as the invisible drug trafficker, a figure who avoids the cameras, ostentation, and exhibitionism. While other drug lords have been captured and extradited, El Mayo has used his ability to blend in with ordinary people and move between different Mexican states without being detected. This ability to disappear into the crowd and avoid being seen is partly thanks to his deep knowledge of the terrain, and his ability to weave networks of local support has managed to gain the loyalty of entire communities not only through intimidation, but also by offering financial support, building infrastructure, and funding schools and hospitals. This dual strategy of terror and charity has allowed him to create a kind of sanctuary where he is seen as a benefactor, almost like a modern-day Robin Hood, rather than a mere criminal. In return, the local people provide him with an early warning system that has allowed him to evade capture time and again. #3. His health and family life. An unknown weakness. It is known that Zambada has faced numerous health problems in recent years, which has forced him to adopt an even lower profile. This weakened state of health has raised questions about the future of the Sinaloa cartel and who might succeed him if he is no longer able to lead. Reports suggest that he suffers from diabetes and kidney problems, which have restricted his ability to move and operate with the same freedom as before. In addition, unlike other drug lords who have been betrayed by family members, the Mayo family has demonstrated unwavering loyalty. Several of his children are involved in drug trafficking, but none have provided information that could lead to their capture. This has generated speculation about how El Mayo has managed his family relationships, managing to maintain tight control over his relatives and close associates despite his health problems. It seems that El Mayo has managed to establish a leadership structure in which his immediate family continues to play a predominant role, which could guarantee the continuity of his influence, even if his health continues to deteriorate. #4. The use of guerrilla techniques and military tactics in drug trafficking. Unlike other drug trafficking leaders who have focused primarily on corruption or direct violence to maintain control, El Mayo has integrated advanced tactics of combat and military strategy in his modus operandi. Intelligence reports suggest that Zambada has studied guerrilla warfare strategies and insurgency tactics, applying this knowledge to drug trafficking and the defense of his territory. The Sinaloa cartel, under the leadership of El Mayo, has established a system of liberated zones, areas where the cartel exercises total control, similar to that of a parallel government. These areas are protected by complex surveillance networks and communication systems that are reminiscent of techniques used by insurgent groups in other parts of the world. For example, they have used tunnels not only for drug smuggling, but also as escape routes and hideouts. Their operations also include training in combat tactics and the use of sophisticated weapons ranging from assault rifles to rocket launchers. This revelation suggests that Zambada is not only a drug lord but a military strategist who has learned and adapted methods of warfare to protect and expand his empire. By the way, if you enjoy the video, we invite you to give us your like and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. We continue with the following: the alleged spiritual connection and mystical beliefs of Mayo, according to some rumors from people close to his Zambada circle, has shown a particular interest in spiritual practices that include Santeria and other forms of indigenous mysticism. He is said to regularly consult santeros and healers for spiritual guidance and protection. The most curious thing about this revelation is that Zambada, unlike other drug trafficking leaders who seek support from popular religious figures, keeps his mystical practices secret and away from the public eye. He has been described as a reserved man who does not easily share his beliefs, but who deeply relies on certain rituals and ceremonies to ensure his success and protection. Zambada is said to believe in the existence of a spiritual force that has protected him over the years and that he makes regular offerings to remain in the favor of this force. This spiritual connection could partly explain how he has managed to stay out of the reach of authorities for so long, relying not only on corruption and violence, but also on a protection network that he considers divine. His double life is the family man behind the kingpin. One of the most surprising and least discussed revelations about Mayo Zambada is his ability to simultaneously lead a double life, that of a feared drug lord and a devoted family man. While many drug lords have lost touch with their roots and adopted extravagant lifestyles, Zambada has maintained an image of a simple man devoted to his family and his origins, even at the height of his power. Mayo has maintained close contact with his family, especially with his mother and siblings, whom he visits regularly in the Sierra de Sinaloa. The most intriguing aspect of this revelation is that Zambada has managed to keep his personal life separate from his criminal activities. Some informants have indicated that at family gatherings, Mayo is known for being a kind and caring man, far removed from the ruthless image that exists in the drug trafficking world. It has also been mentioned that Zambada has a genuine interest in agriculture and livestock, activities that he practices not only as a front for his business, but also as a true expression of his personal passion. This duality of being a feared drug lord and a countryman dedicated to his family creates a contrasting and complex image of Zambada, suggesting that there is more to his character than meets the eye. While the Sinaloa cartel is known for its numerous human trafficking and sexual exploitation operations, mainly due to drug trafficking, recent reports and victim testimonies have indicated that the cartel, under San Ada's leadership, has been involved in large-scale human trafficking, especially the sexual exploitation of women and girls. According to these reports, victims are kidnapped or lured with promises of work and then forced to work in clandestine brothels controlled by the cartel. Women who attempt to escape or resist are brutally punished or killed. As an example to others, these macabre practices not only demonstrate the level of brutality and lack of scruples of Mayo Zambada, but also reveal how he has diversified his criminal operations to maximize his profits. Zambada not only seeks to profit from drug trafficking, but also exploits people's desperation and vulnerability, which demonstrates an extremely cruel and ruthless side of his leadership. The revelation of his practice has left many astonished, as it shows that Zambada is not only a drug trafficker, but also an exploiter of human beings in his most brutal form. Number 8 is the use of psychological torture and mind control in his organization. Another deeply disturbing revelation about the Mayo Zambada is his use of psychological torture and mind control techniques to ensure the loyalty and silence of his subordinates. Unlike other drug trafficking leaders who resort to physical violence to maintain control, Zambada has developed a more sophisticated and sinister system to control members of his cartel. According to some defectors and witnesses, the Mayo uses methods of psychological manipulation that include threats to the families of his subordinates, sleep deprivation, and prolonged isolation to break the will of those he considers disloyal. Too much information has also been reported that Zambada employs psychologists and human behavior specialists, to develop control techniques that keep his men are in a constant state of fear and emotional dependence. These methods have been used not only to punish traitors, but also to ensure that his men remain loyal and willing to obey any order without question. This form of mind control and psychological manipulation reveals an extremely dark side of Zambada, showing that his cruelty knows no bounds and that he is willing to use any means necessary to maintain his absolute power and control. Number 9. Experimentation with poisons and slow murder methods. One of the most macabre and terrifying revelations about the Mayo Zambada is his apparent fascination with poisons and slow murder methods. While other drug traffickers may opt for quick executions or traditional violent methods, Zambada has shown a preference for much more sadistic and elaborate methods, according to unconfirmed reports, but coming from sources close to the organization. Zambada has experimented with different methods, types of poisons and toxic substances to eliminate their enemies or those they consider traitors. In some cases, the victims are not killed instantly, but are administered a dose of poison that acts slowly, causing prolonged pain and suffering before death. These methods not only serve to eliminate enemies, but also serve as a macabre warning to anyone thinking of betraying the cartel. Bodies have been found in clandestine graves with signs of poisoning and prolonged torture, which supports these revelations about the use of poisons. It has also been suggested that Zambada enjoys the theatricality of these slow murders, using them as a way to show his power and send message. Of course, no one can challenge him without facing terrible consequences. This dark and sadistic side of Zambada reveals a level of cruelty that goes beyond the conventional violence of drug trafficking, revealing a calculating and perverse mind that he enjoys inflicting suffering on his enemies. Ismael El Mayo Zambada is one of the most enigmatic and powerful figures in drug trafficking in Mexico. Like other organized crime leaders, his family has played a crucial role in the consolidation and expansion of his operations. His children, in particular, have been instrumental in the functioning of the Sinaloa cartel, assuming key roles in the organization and facing the consequences of their activities. Vicente Zambada Niebla, known as El Vicentillo, is perhaps the best-known son of El Mayo, born on March 20th, 1975. Vicente became involved in the family business from a young age. Over the years, he rose to a leadership position within the cartel, handling crucial operations such as drug trafficking to the United States and the logistics necessary to maintain the constant flow of narcotics. However, his life changed dramatically in March 2009, when he was arrested in Mexico and subsequently extradited to the United States in 2010. In a surprising twist, Vicente decided to cooperate with U.S. authorities by providing valuable information about the inner workings of the Sinaloa cartel and testifying against Joaquin El Chapo Guzman at his trial in New York in 2019. His cooperation earned him a reduced sentence. Although his decision to become a government witness made him a traitor in the eyes of many within the drug trafficking world, Serafin Zambada Ortiz is another of the sons of El Mayo who has been involved in the family business. He was born on May 27, 1990. Serafin was arrested in November 2013 in Nogales, Arizona, while attempting to cross the border from Mexico. He was charged with conspiracy to distribute methamphetamines and cocaine in the United States. Brother Vicente Serafin avoided a lengthy trial by pleading guilty in September 2014. His arrest and imprisonment underscored the constant surveillance by U.S. authorities over the movements of Sinaloa cartel members, especially those with direct connections to prominent leaders such as Mayo Ismael Zam Imperial, known as El Mayo Gordo, is another of the sons of Mayo, who has played an important role in cartel operations. Born on June 3, 1984, Mayo Gordo was arrested in November 2014 in Culiacan, Sinaloa, during a military operation. He was indicted on charges related to drug trafficking and money laundering. Throughout his time in the cartel, he has been credited with overseeing various logistical and financial operations, ensuring that drug trafficking proceeds remained in circulation and that drug trafficking routes were maintained. Traffic remained safe. His arrest was a significant blow to the mayor, since Mayo Gordo was considered one of his most capable and trusted children. Teresa Zambada Niebla, known as Teresita, is the daughter of the mayor, Del Mayo, and, although not as prominent as her brothers, she has been implicated in activities related to money laundering and the management of the cartel's finances. Unlike her brothers, Teresa has kept a lower profile, but her role in the organization is crucial to ensuring that the cartel's funds are properly laundered and reinvested. U.S. authorities have identified Teresita in several investigations, but so far she has managed to avoid arrest. Maria Teresa Zambada has also been involved in the family business. Although to a lesser extent than her brothers, her role has been primarily supportive, helping to coordinate logistical operations and ensuring communication between different factions of the cartel. Like her sister, Teresa, she has kept a low profile, but her contribution to the organization is significant. The biggest crimes of Zambada's children were the first crime that shook Mexico and the United States. Operation Drug Trafficking, led by Vicente Zambada Niebla, alias El Vicentillo. In 2009, U.S. authorities uncovered a drug distribution network that transported large quantities of cocaine, heroin, and methamphetamine from Mexico to major cities in the United States. Vicente had perfected a nearly impenetrable logistics system using vehicles with secret compartments and carefully planned air and sea routes. This operation generated multi-million-dollar revenue for the cartel and extended its influence to unprecedented levels. The sophistication of the system stunned DEA agents, who admitted that the reach and efficiency of the drug trafficking network led by El Vicentillo were unparalleled. The fall of this operation was as spectacular as its rise in March 2009. Vicente was arrested in a luxurious hotel in Mexico City. The capture was the result of an international collaboration between agencies, Mexicans and Americans, and news spread around the world. The magnitude of the drug trafficking network revealed during his trial in Chicago revealed the power and organization of the Sinaloa cartel, consolidating Vicente as one of the most influential drug lords of his generation. The second crime that resonated strongly was the San Fernando Massacre, a dark episode attributed to the conflicts between the Sinaloa cartel and the ZAs. In this case, Serafin Sonata Ortiz played a crucial role in 2010, a series of bloody clashes in the state of Tamaulipas. This resulted in the deaths of 72 migrants in a warehouse. Although the ZAs were initially blamed, subsequent investigations revealed that elements of the Sinaloa cartel, under Serafin's leadership, had been involved in the event, using extreme violence as a tactic to eliminate their rivals and spread terror. The brutality of the murders, which included torture and summary executions, caused international outrage and highlighted the ferocity with which the Zambadas defended their territory. Finally, Ismael Sambad, known as Mayo Gordo, was the protagonist of one of the most audacious money laundering operations in the history of drug trafficking. Between 2012 and 2014, Mayo Gordo designed a scheme to launder millions of dollars from drug sales through a complex network of front companies in Mexico and the United States, using all types of businesses from transportation companies to restaurants. Mayo managed to infiltrate illicit funds into the financial system by disguising them as legitimate income. The audacity of the operation was unprecedented. It involved bribery of officials, manipulation of accounting records, and the cooperation of local and international banks. The scope of this crime is discovered in November 2014 when Mayo Gordo was arrested during a military raid in Culiacan. The discovery of the money laundering network revealed the sophistication and intelligence with which the Sinaloa cartel operated, revealing the son of El Mayo's ability to combine violence with financial cunning. The arrest of Mayo Gordo was a significant blow to the cartel and a reminder that even the most intelligent criminals can be caught. His relationship with Los Hijos del Chapo, the sons of El Mayo Zamber, Vicente Serafin, and Ismael grew up in their father's shadow, acquiring a deep and strategic understanding of the drug trafficking business. Vicente, known as El Vicentillo, was a key figure in the organization, leading logistical operations and establishing drug trafficking routes to the United States. Serafin and Maguito Gordo also played important roles in managing operational and financial aspects. From the cartel, on the other hand, the Chapitos Ivan Archivaldo Jesus Alfredo and Ovidio Guzman inherited not only their father's name, but also his brutality and cunning in the world of crime throughout their lives. Over the years, both families have collaborated closely on multiple operations. One of the highlights of this cooperation was the expansion of drug trafficking routes to the eastern United States, a highly lucrative market. Using their network of contacts and their knowledge of the business, Vicente, Sambade, and the Chapitos coordinated the shipment of large shipments of cocaine and methamphetamines through routes that evaded the oversight of authorities. This collaboration resulted in multi-million-dollar revenues for the cartel and strengthened its control over the U.S. market. However, this alliance has not been without conflict. The capture of El Chapo in 2016 and his subsequent extradition to the United States in 2017 left a power vacuum that both the sons of El Mayo and the Chapitos attempted to fill. Rumors of mistrust and betrayal began to emerge, with both factions accusing them of being corrupted to protect their interests. This tension was exacerbated when it was revealed that Vicente Zambada had reached an agreement with the DEA, providing information on the cartel's operations in exchange for a reduction in a sentence. The Chapitos saw this as an unforgivable betrayal, creating a deep rift in their relationship with the sons of El Mayo. Despite these tensions, the need to maintain control of the cartel and confront external threats has forced both factions to work together on several occasions. A notable example was the response to the growing influence of the Jalisco New Generation cartel, led by Nemesio Segura Cervantes, alias El Mencho. The threat of the CJNG, known for its extreme violence and rapid expansion, forced the sons of El Mayo and the Chapitos to unite to defend their territory and operations. This temporary alliance demonstrated the ability of both families to put aside their differences and confront enemies. Common interests. When their interests were at stake, the rivalry between the sons of El Mayo and the Chapitos has also manifested itself in their control over key cities in Sinaloa. Culiacan, the state capital, has been a constant scene of conflict, while the Chapitos have attempted to consolidate their control over the city using tactics of intimidation and violence. The sons of El Mayo have opted for a more strategic approach, using their influence and contacts to maintain order and avoid direct confrontations. This difference in methods has generated friction, with each faction trying to demonstrate its superiority and control over the other. One of the most tense episodes in this relationship was the Culiacanazo of October 2019, when Mexican security forces briefly captured Ovidio Guzman, only to be forced to release him in the face of the brutal response of the cartel. Although publicly presented as a victory for the Chapitos, rumors suggest that the operation was supported by the coordination and support from the sons of El Mayo, who saw the opportunity to demonstrate their power and control over the situation. This joint action, although successful in freeing Ovid, exposed the fragile alliances and latent mistrust between both factions. By the way, if you enjoy the video, we invite you to give us a like and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. The arrests of Zambada's sons continue. The first major capture was that of Vicente Zambada, also known as El Vicentillo, in March 2009. Vicente, who had assumed a crucial role in managing the cartel's operations, was at the height of his power and known for his ability to manage large-scale drug trafficking. His arrest represented a severe blow to the structure of the Sinaloa cartel. The operation to capture him took place at a luxurious hotel in the city. From Mexico, where Vicente was taking refuge in a place presumed to be safe. Collaboration between Mexican and U.S. agencies, especially the DEA and the Mexican Federal Police, was key to his capture. Authorities, using intelligence obtained through surveillance and wiretaps, were able to track his movements and coordinate a precise raid. The operation was swift and efficient, resulting in Vicente's arrest without a shot being fired. His capture not only weakened the cartel, but also triggered a series of revelations about its operations, which led to broader investigations and Vicente's eventual operation with U.S. authorities. A few years later, in November 2013, attention focused on Serafin Zambotta Ortiz. Serafin's capture took place in Nogales, Arizona, amid increasing pressure on the cartel. Serafin had been an important financial and logistical operator of the Sinaloa cartel, handling large sums of money and organizing the transportation of narcotics. His arrest occurred during a joint operation between the DEA and U.S. border authorities, who had already been tracking his financial activities and trafficking patterns, arrested Serafin while he was attempting to cross the border, transporting a significant amount of methamphetamine. The operation was thorough. Authorities used advanced surveillance techniques and data analysis to anticipate his movements and prepare for his arrest. Serafin's capture not only dealt a blow to the cartel's operations, but also provided authorities with deeper insight into the organization's structure and inner workings. The third major arrest was of Mayo Gordo, Ismael Sambat Imperial, in November 2014. This arrest occurred in Culiacan, Sinaloa, a crucial city for the Sinaloa cartel's operations. Mayo Gordo had been a key operator in the cartel's logistics and monitoring trafficking routes. His capture took place during a military operation involving Mexican army forces and federal police. Authorities had been monitoring his activities for months, gathering information through field intelligence and wiretaps. The operation to capture him was highly precise. Officers coordinated to surround Mayo Gordo's residence without alerting anyone, thus avoiding a violent confrontation. The arrest occurred without serious incident. Although the operation was tense due to the possibility of armed resistance, the capture of Mayo Gordo represented a significant loss for the cartel, as his ability to manage political and financial operations was fundamental to the organization's functioning. Each of these captures was a testament to the authorities' commitment to combating drug trafficking and dismantling criminal networks operating internationally. The combination of advanced intelligence, international cooperation, and carefully planned operations was key to the success of these operations. The fall of Vicente, Serafin, and Mayo Gordo weakened the power of the Sinaloa cartel, altering the balance of power in the drug trafficking world and demonstrating the authorities' ability to confront and challenge one of the most powerful cartels in the world. The consequences of these arrests were also felt within the Sinaloa cartel, which faced a period of internal reorganization and adjustment. The loss of key leaders forced the organization to adapt quickly, leading to increased internal tensions and intensified competition from other criminal groups. And so we come to the end of this video. If you liked it, I invite you to give us a like so we can continue making more videos like this. Also, don't forget to subscribe and activate the bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. I wish you a great day. Until next time.